gathered here today to bid farewell to our old companion, Civility. I say companion because, if we're honest with ourselves, friend would be a bit of an overstatement. Civility did have its moments. It allowed countless families to pass the Thanksgiving turkey in peace. Once upon a time, it allowed television pundits to talk with each other rather than shouting at each other. And until very recently, it allowed politicians from opposing parties to share a debate stage without one of them following the other around the stage like some sort of demented stalker. However, Civility always had a darker side as well. In the late 1700s, just after our nation was formed, Civility helped inspire the Sedition Act, aimed at forcing newspapers to be more civil to the president and his administration. But the penalties weren't civil, they were criminal, and there were newspaper editors imprisoned for the crime of speaking out against the president in an uncivil manner. In the late 1800s, Civility helped to whitewash and paper over the evils of slavery and those who fought to defend it. As Reconstruction came to an end, Civility prompted what were called blue and gray reunions, where veterans who fought to contain and eliminate slavery were asked to join with those who had fought to defend and extend slavery, and essentially pretend that the entire war had been basically a gentleman's disagreement and that there were very fine people on both sides. By the late 1900s, Civility began a slow decline, kept alive only by moderates, liberals, and progressives who still held on to it, even as Republicans abandoned it in droves. We held on to it as Republicans abandoned a consultant's talking points that encouraged them to refer to Democrats with words like sick and traitors. We held on to it after Republicans used a horrible terrorist act not to bring the nation together, but to divide it further, accusing their opponents of treason and asking, "Why do you hate America?" We held on to it after Republicans not only allowed but encouraged the most vicious bigotry against our first black president, even going so far as to nominate for president the very man who had led the movement to question the birth certificate of a man whose birth announcement was readily available in newspaper archives from the time. We held on so tightly to Civility that it even led us to believe, woefully and mistakenly, that there couldn't possibly be enough people in America who were horrible enough, despicable enough, deplorable enough to actually elect that man president. And even after we learned, to our shock and dismay, just how wrong we had been, Civility still led some people to suggest that we give him a chance and express the hope that he would grow into the office. But as the years went by, it became increasingly obvious that he was never going to grow into the office, no matter how many chances or second chances or third or fourth or 57th chances he was given. And then in early 2019, after we succeeded in taking back one house of Congress, there arrived that glorious day when newly elected Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib said those immortal words, "We're going to impeach the motherfucker." And sensitive souls across the nation clutched their pearls with one hand and bunched up their panties with the other and declared that Civility, at long last, is dead. So here we are, all alone without our old companion Civility to keep us company, left to face the evils of the world and of this current nation without the option of being polite, of trying to engage in rational discourse with irrational people, of debating opinions about facts with those who do not even accept the facts themselves. We find ourselves faced with the reality that we are not having a conversation, we are not having an argument or a dispute. We are in a fight, and we need to fight it. But before we go back to that fight, let us pause for one last time to address our old companion Civility and say goodbye and good fucking riddance.
Styles, so many flavors. Historically, we are the music innovators, originators, setting standards for imitators. New Orleans is a swing incubator. From Louis on up to the old jazz lions. Uncle, I know I have you laughing and your seat crying. Passing by in a parade, drinking gin. Let the second line begin as the saints go marching shrimp jambalaya, and they too fake. You know that that's the real when you come around my way. Cause this is how we swing it. It's not another trend. 21st century, sensible.